So today we're going to be looking at this Gyuto from Forge to Table. So Forge to Table is a California knife company. If you guys have not heard of them before, definitely check them out. I'll link their description down below. Forge to Table was generous enough to send over this Gyuto, a paring knife, as well as one of their sharpening stones over. So thank you so much, Noah, for sending everything over and your willingness to work with us. So Forge to Table, like I said, is a California-based company that makes Japanese-style knives. And here is their Gyuto. I already opened this because when the box came, I heard this slight rattle. I don't know if you guys can hear that. So I actually just opened it up to make sure everything was fine. And the rattling, as you guys can see here, there's just the handle kind of knocking back and forth inside this wood box. No damage whatsoever to the knife, so that is a very good sign. Otherwise, the packaging is great other than the slight rattle. But like I said, there's no damage done to the knife. And let's talk about a little bit about this packaging, guys. This packaging is freaking on point. Like, I really dig this packaging. It comes in this wood box, and it's got this shursugi bond, like this burned wood style from Japan, with their brand name as well as the name of the knife, the Gyuto, branded onto the box itself. So let's go ahead and unbox this knife for you. It's got this tip protector, this foam piece to keep the knife in place. It's got this sleeve protector, which is really nice. You can see there's a little bit of oil inside the sleeve protector to keep this oiled up. A tip protector as well as an edge protector, which is really nice to have. So it keeps the knife nice and sharp and protects it while it's shipping or while it's in storage. Let's get this box. So earlier in the video, you saw or heard that I said this is a Japanese style knife, and why am I not calling it just a Japanese knife? Well, that's because it's not a Japanese knife. It's completely forged in China. This knife is not forged in Japan, so I can't technically call it a Japanese knife. It is completely forged in China. And this is something that Forge to Table is extremely proud of, because Alex, one of the partners of Forge to Table, is a third-generation blacksmith over in China. He actually went to Sakai, Japan to study several years on how to properly forge like the Japanese forging styles, and he took that knowledge back to his home forge where all of these knives are forged out of. So this is something that they're very proud of, and they don't even try to hide the fact that it is made in China, which is great, because a lot of times people have kind of like this connotation that I've said before of Chinese made products, which I don't personally agree with, but we're not going to go down that route. Now let's go ahead and talk about the knife itself. The knife is made out of VG10 steel. The VG10 steel is not imitation. Some people like to call it imitation VG10 made in China. This VG10 steel inside the Forge to Table knife is actually sourced from Takafu, Japan. So it is legit VG10 steel from Japan. It is in a sanmai construction with a karochi finish, which is this very rustic carbon suit finish. They call it a blacksmith finish, which is very rustic, just a very handsome knife. That's what I like to call it. The dimensions of the knife is very similar to just your normal Gyuto. It is just a tad bit shorter. Most standard size 8-inch Gyuto is about 210 millimeters. This is a 200 millimeter knife, so it's about 1 centimeter off. So just a little shy of 8 inches. Now let's talk about this handle. This handle is extremely comfortable. It is made out of rosewood. It's got this ox horn is it ferrule or ferrule on it? So it's very good looking knife. I really like this. This is actually one of my very first Japanese style knife. I have a few more coming on the way, so look forward to those videos. I have one actually being custom made right now by one of the local knife makers that I'm really looking forward to, and I'll definitely do a video on that and let you guys know how this actually pairs up. Now let's take a look at the balance point of this knife. The balance point is not right here at the bolster. The balance point is actually a little bit more forward, right here where the pinch grip will be held. So if you use a pinch grip, this is perfectly balanced for where it's at. But if you actually just grab onto the handle and you don't use a pinch grip, which you probably should use a pinch grip, because you just have a little bit more control over the knife, and you can really choke up on it. It's very nice. So definitely try it out. But like I said, if you're actually using just the handle holding it, it's definitely a little bit forward heavy. But like I said, pinch grip is very, very comfortable. It's not a very heavy knife. It's a very light knife, very nimble, which is a very much a characteristic of Gyutos and Asian style knives. They're a little bit lighter. They're not as heavy, so they're a little bit more geared towards delicate cutting. So now I got my cutting board, I got the knife washed off. Let's go ahead and cut some stuff with it to see how sharp the knife is, fresh out of the box. But of course, every knife is fairly sharp out of the box. It is only fair that I come back in 6 months to give it a more proper review. So this is just the initial unboxing and initial impression of the knife. So let's go ahead, first thing first, of course, you can't do a proper knife test without the magazine paper test. And let's just go ahead and just push through it to see if it cuts. And yes, it absolutely does. It is extremely sharp. The angle of the knife itself, the edge itself, is 17 degrees on both sides, which makes it a 34-degree total edge dimension. Now, a lot of people think that the steeper the angle, the sharper the knife. That point can be argued, but we're not going to go into that today. Sweet potato, tomato, and some grapes. Let's go ahead and slice this tomato open. Sorry, this is all the produce that we have since we're all under quarantine or slash lockdown, so I'm kind of limited on what I can cut in the videos right now. Alright. Of course, slice this through without any issues. Let's see if I can do the slice cut test. Cuts through without any issues. Let's try that again. So the tomato cut without any issues. Let's set this over here. Let's try the grape test to see if it cuts through the grape. This is the real test here. I can't get the grape to cut sideways, so grape test, it did not pass for me itself. It could be user error, but I'm not sure. Let's go ahead and move on to the sweet potato. Let me see very nicely. No issues cutting the sweet potato so far. See if we can get some more delicate cuts with it. It cuts fairly well. I mean, given the thickness of the blade, this is about a if I remember correctly, 2.7 millimeter thickness with a 44 millimeter blade height. The distal taper on it, I think because the distal taper, it is very gradual, so it's a very, very nice distal taper, but because maybe it is a thicker blade, that it doesn't slice through as easily on certain items. So for me personally, I would definitely like a blade that is a little bit on the more thinner side, but that's just personal preference. Distal taper on both ends are very, very smooth, very straight blade. Handles on very nicely. The finish is very nice. So this pretty much wraps up our first impression video of the Forge to Table Gyuto. I hope you guys liked the video. If you guys do, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. It'll mean the world to me. Help us support all of this madness, and I will catch you guys next week. Bye.